Chaos Wave 2 is on deck.
Spiking bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. Baer from SpikyBits.com here, showcasing the new Chaos Havoc squad and, of course, the new Terminator squad. So the new Havocs are $55 and new Terminators are $60. I think the Havocs are up. I can't even remember last time they sold the Havocs, to be quite honest, because they were pewter. I don't even know if they did a fine cast version of the Havocs. Oof. Last time I had them, they were pewter, and I want to say they were around $40. I can't exactly remember. The Terminator box, though, was plastic, and it was $50, if I recall correctly. So, obviously, some slight price increases going into the 2019 release of Chaos Space Marines. I'm sure we're going to discover a lot more things about them as we start to dig in each one. So, first up, and we're going to show you how to do some conversions and some magnetizations for the new kits as well. So first up is going to be the Havocs. Now this one, I gotta admit, I'm a little disappointed in a couple different ways, and I'm going to open this up and show you what I'm talking about. So once you crack open the box, it's actually going to contain 3 sprues, which we kind of figured based on GW's preview. But in GW's preview, they showed this configuration of sprue. Well, 2 half sprues makes 1 whole sprue, and then you got another halvesy sprue right here. But they said, hey, you get 1 chain cannon and you get 2 of each of the other weapons. But in this picture, there's only 3 sets of legs, and I was like, that's kind of weird. Well, maybe they double this, and that way you get enough to make a sergeant or something like that. But that wouldn't make sense because they said you only get 1 chain cannon, which everybody seems very excited about. They've been showcasing that since Vegas, LVO. They showed this guy right here. And then again, they've been just talking about his rules ad nauseum and stuff. And he's got a lot of hype behind him. So I was a little shocked, and I guess I didn't look at the previews on GW's site, to be honest. But when I opened up and got this sprue right here, which is kind of, if you're trying to get all these weapons, I feel like it's a little bit cringy on GW's part to give you, exactly what they said they were going to give you. No worries there. They said you get 2 of each weapon, which you do get over here. You get your other 2 sets of legs, so you can have 5 models to put weapons on. But you only get, again, 1 chain cannon. Now, granted, there's going to be meta and there's going to be different things, but we've seen these weapons for years. I think the last Havoc box set I bought was in 2003. So they got to have something to make you buy the set, which I get. But the fact that you can take multiples of these and they only give you 1 of the new weapon in the box is a little bit slap in the face. And for a company that... Now, this is just my opinion talking here. Obviously, these are very well designed miniatures, and I'm going to show you more. We're going to dive in. We're going to put some together. We're going to give you some options for conversions. But just stepping back and talking purely on opinion. Games Workshop, they're like, hey, you get all the stuff. We do all these things. You can download your Chaos version of the Codex digitally. We updated it for you. If, you don't want to buy the new book, you want to just get Vigilus, you can do that too. You don't have to buy the new 2.0 book. So in a lot of cases, they're very upfront and cool, and hey, you don't have to spend this money and do these things. But in a lot of ways, when it comes to stuff like this and some things I'm going to show you in the Terminator box, they're kind of not cool. This is kind of not cool. Like, you don't even get enough to field 4 of any particular weapon, which, I think in a lot of cases that's what people want. But the Devastator squad, isn't exactly or dissimilar, I guess, would be the word for it. I don't think you get 4 of any Devastator weapon in their box either. But just the fact that they added in a new weapon and they only give you 1 in each box, theoretically, you would have to spend 5 boxes worth to get 4 of those chain cannons if you didn't want to convert it or do something like that. So that's just, to me, it's a little disappointing. But again, the style, all of the sculpts, everything is fresh, and how the stuff goes together looks to be very well done as well. So let's grab everything else here. Now, something that you may not have noticed just looking at the box is that all of these guys are actually on 40mm bases, and I was kind of shocked by that too, because mostly a lot of times special characters come on those size bases. Where's my instructions? There we go. Which, well, they're going to be a little bit bigger. Remember, they got the stabilization talons, so they can do their thing and kind of walk around and just gat and go and all the things. There is a new decal slash transfer sheet, which is pretty cool. They got some really fresh designs on here for some of the major legions right there, some of the major trader legions, you know, from Word Bearers on up through T-Suns. There's no Death Guard stuff on here, but you do get Iron Warriors, Night Lords, and just your generic Black Legion, and some cool Alpha Legion stuff as well, which I thought was pretty neat. It was really cool to see. And then an instruction manual, well, you know, it's pretty standard. You're gonna be able to get some champion weapons right here. Now, fortunately, these aren't super computer slicey. Now, the torsos go together in weird ways, like torso and front leg, torso and right leg, front torso and right leg, back torso and left leg. And then you put some of the extra greaves and stuff on there too, which I would like to point out is very similar to how a lot of the Primaris Marines go together. So, as you might guess, we are going to compare the sizing, and as you might already know, if you've seen the regular Chaos Marines, they are about the size of a Primaris, but that's okay. Like I said, the designs are fresh, and they got a lot going on here, and then you just decide what shoulder pads you want, decide what heads you want for the aspiring champion. Now, on the Havoc side of things, their heads actually socket into the backpacks, and they tell you how to make each different one. Right here you got the base dude, and then of course if you want to go Reaper chain cannon, or if you want to go auto cannon, you know, the designs, like I said, they're great. They're very modular. We didn't have it, Chaos has never had anything like this. We had some Buster, you know, kind of pewter backpacks that kind of went on, and some Buster arms. And I'm going to show you some of my old Havocs compared to some of the new stuff too. But this is really cool for Chaos players. And besides the feel badsies of the weapon, the way they're equipping the weapon, and the way they I don't want to say purposefully, but they definitely omitted that third sprue that only had 2 of each of the other weapons on there. I feel like, you know, people are going to have opinions on that. I have an opinion on it. I'm trying not to let it through in the video. I'm trying to focus on the positive. But, you know, it's just like, it's kind of rough. Like, oh, so my Terminator, so all my models are bigger. They're on bigger bases. And the one weapon that I don't have in my collection, I only get one of in a box. Okay, I see what you're trying to do. It's good business, but it's not good for the player. And it's a little frustrating, to say the least. And hopefully I'm not being too much of a Debbie Downer in this video, but you know, comment, let me know, am I wrong here, am I right here, am I just, it's whatever, times change, which I agree, and I will definitely be updating some of my miniatures, because let's face it, I haven't bought any Iron Warriors since 2003. Like, that's literally 16 years ago. Like, my Iron Warriors are old enough to graduate high school. So, you know, it's smart. Like I said, it's smart business. It's just a lot of feel badsies. I do like how this last cannon is locked in with the little shoulder mount right there. It's a little kickback homage to Heresy. Same up here, you know, you got the loader arm, but you still got like the crazy over the shoulder kind of deal. So they kind of split up, and they kind of, depending on which one you want to do, there's 2 different styles of missile launchers, and there's 2 different styles of las cannon, which I thought was really neat too. Like I said, not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I do like the overall, I like the refreshness of it and the options, but the size, I could see where the detractors are. Obviously the size, size of models, new base size, and only 1 Reaper chain cannon in the kit itself. So let's put some of these together. I want to definitely do the chain cannon. I want to show you guys some options for maybe some other conversions to save some of those hobby dollars, and jump on over to the Terminators, which we're gonna bust out the magnets for. And we're back. Magic swoosh. Swoosh. So here he is, the man of the hour, the Reaper chain cannon. Now, this, I mean, you can change out the arms, you can change out the pads. Like I said, the heads socket into the backpack right here, so they're just literally wired in to the machines right here. And I really like the styling and the ammo feeds here. I think this was even a rumor engine, if I recall correctly. So it's a gorgeous miniature at face value, 100%. But this guy's on a 40 mil base, completely updated, completely resized from what we're used to in the Chaos Space Marine faction. Speaking of which, let me show you. Do I have a Havoc here? I do have a Havoc here. I guess I should have got a heavy bolter, but we didn't do that. So here's one of my old Iron Warrior missile launcher Havocs, done with the old style washes and some Vallejo paints for the really nice poppy yellows back in the day. So you can already see, obviously, he's on a 25. We skipped the 32 millimeter class. We went straight to the 40 millimeter, and there he is. He is way bigger than the normal Chaos Space Marine. It wasn't even a contest, let's be real. Who are we kidding? Here's your normal Chaos Space Marine duder here, again, on a 25 mil base. And here's the heavy bolter we put together as well. Again, great styling. It's got the larger rounds. Probably does, doesn't fire as quick because it's not some sort of minigun type deal. But with all the tubes and hoses and rounds and the crazy interfacing face right there, and you got some the talons. Everything looks great on these miniatures. They're very well done. They're pretty much the traditional, arm, shoulder pad, backpack, front, as we showed you in the instruction manual right there. Now, here's the thing. How can you get, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be like, how do I get more chain cannons? Well, there's a couple different ways. First off, you can just do an old kit bash, which a lot of folks did. If you can find assault cannon barrels from the old Dark Angel accessory sprue, that would be a good place to start. But you can definitely take one of these old Chaos gargoyles from the vehicle accessory sprue and slap that bad boy on here. Obviously, we're not going to do a whole lot. Well, we're not going to waste a whole lot of time with the glue and stuff and maybe messing up this heavy bolter. I'm not sure what I'm going to paint quite yet, so I don't want to mess anything up. But just to give you an idea of if that would make a good counts as, then that's kind of where we're at. So it does make a great counts as. It is about the same size as that right there. It's maybe just a little shorter, maybe very roughly shorter. I guess you could put the guy, like if we match the stances, then it's probably the same size, even though he's hung back more on the base right there. So I guess it is technically about the same size, and it wouldn't look bad. I don't think anybody, this is the day and age where, yeah, G-Dub's like, hey, you got to use this and that, but I don't think any folks would really get mad at you that, hey, I just threw this gargoyle I've had, head on here, so I don't have to spend another $50 on a box. I wouldn't think that would be the case at all. But if it is, maybe your game group's a little different. Obviously, everybody's a little different. Ask your TOs, ask your friends. But I don't see that being an option that is too potentially, asking too much. It's definitely not asking too much. Now, if you want more of like the purest kind of Reaper chain cannon, Cromlech has some rotor cannons as well. I don't have any of those, but I do have the rip cannons from Pop Goes the Monkey. These are 3D printed bits that Pop Goes the Monkey offers, and these actually they look pretty good too. They don't have like the dynamic ammo feeds. You do have to use a set of the older and smaller Chaos Space Marine arms, which look to still be about the same size. Remember, the thing with Primaris and the thing with, I guess now, Chaos is that you can swap out the shoulder pads, you can swap out the heads. They're all sized the same. It's just the torsos and the legs that are a little different. So if you want that roto cannon, or you want that kind of chaosy gun, purist feel, you might want to go with this, and that works out great. It's not, let's check the posing here. It might be a little shorter. Just a little bit with the posing right there. But that's another option as well if you don't want to go the gargoyle, or you don't have any of those old auto cannons from the Dark Angel accessory sprue, if you haven't been able to locate any of those. Now, how do these size up to some other Chaos miniatures that you might know? Well, there's Mr. Karn. He is also on a 45 millimeter base, and he is, I guess when he's not running forward, probably a little taller than these guys right here, but not by much. And then, of course, you've got your standard run-of-the-mill Primaris Space Marine, who looks a bit taller, but this guy has obviously a wide stance. And, well, they're very similar in height. And then we've got our normal Deathcore Kriegsman, which is puny compared to this larger Chaos Space Marine right here. So overall, a couple different options there for you to consider. I'm sure more folks will be coming out with different things here in the future. All right, let's jump over to the Terminator box. Before we jump into the Terminators, I was actually digging through some of my bits to do some conversions real quick, and I found my old Chaos Havoc pewter upgrade sets here. So this is the old las cannon, which is kind of crazy. I got a couple of those, and there's some specific arms to go with it, and this was the arm right there. But you can tell like the plastic has yellowed on all this. This is literally how long I've had these. Could be old enough to graduate high school. And back on track, we've got the Chaos Terminators. Woohoo! They're there. So $60 US, up $10, but definitely loads of options in here. And we got us another Field Batsy. So once you open up your box, pretty simple. You're going to get 2 screws, which really hasn't changed from the older Terminator configuration, which I'm going to zoom out here in a second. 40 mil bases, which makes sense because they're Termies. They haven't gone up on those quite yet, but I'm sure they'll creep up to 50 at some point. And that new dope decal sheet as well. Now jumping into the instructions, they don't fit on the screen either, so I'm gonna hit pause. Measure once, cut twice. That's what I always say, right? Am I right? That's the terrible way to do it. Okay, so there's the 2 sprues. Now you can see almost everything right there. And at first glance, you're like, oh, cool, it's got a lot of stuff in it. But as we're about to find out, it's got 5 combi bolters, like left and right halves, with the I think in most cases the right half is attached to the arm bit, as you can see right here. And then of course there's all the other drums to lock into there, and there's room for magnets. We're going to go over how to magnetize these guys too. The problem is that if you're going to want to configure them with combis, which a lot of folks do, I mean, combi plasma is still pretty viable on these guys. There isn't enough options. You got 2 meltas, you've got 2 flamers, and only 1 plasma, which is up from 0 plasma in the last kit from 2005, but still not quite enough in some people's eyes, including myself. However, all these guys are updated, and they've got the, you know, the dope new kind of size and style with all the computer slices and things, which we're about to find out when we look at the manual here. You know, diving right in, you can see that it's got, I mean, it goes together pretty much the same as you would expect. Now, back in the day, we had the tops and bottoms. Now it's gonna attach just like we saw with the Havocs right there, the front going on to the back, and the legs kind of their own separate piece, and then you got the trophy racks and then the different arms. Now the cool thing about this is they're not those computer slices, so you can put magnets in here and switch out whatever you need to do. However, the rub is that, well, you don't have enough shoulder pads. There's only 11 shoulder pads in this kit, so you would have an extra shoulder pad to throw on like a Havoc launcher, or excuse me, a Reaper auto cannon, or perhaps the heavy flame, or whatever you want to do, but everything else is going to have to kind of be as is. You could use some blue tack, but I don't really know what to tell you right there. You just don't get enough shoulder pads. If you want to go the blue tack method, that might be your best route instead of magnetizing shoulder pads, because that's just silly. But you know, you can still switch out the weapons between lightning claws and power sword. So there's a bunch of different varieties here and all sorts of different poses and different things you can do. You can see the autocannon guy looks pretty good, and then you can have the champion right there. And the only thing that's really different, I think, is like the front pieces. Where is it? These little trophy horns instead of like the trophy rack. I do like the styling of the chain fist with the shorter stubbier, where is it? I just saw it, with the shorter kind of stubbier little blade instead of like a long thin chain sword fist thing that didn't really make sense. I like this new bit right here, this power, what is it? It's basically looking at a I mean, it's just a power weapon, but it looks pretty dope. And you got a power sword, and then like I said, you've got 11 sets of shoulder pads right there. This is for the autocannon, and then the power fists are actually pretty dynamic. You gotta kind of cut those out and then put the hands in them, but the shoulder pads look great, and they leave you the blank spots there to put decals or chevrons on if you're an Iron Warriors player. So overall, I like the styling. I like the new updated helms, and there's a bunch of them on here. I think there's 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll go with 9. It looks like 9 right there on that sprue. And then on the other sprue, you got the new updated trophy racks, all the fists for the power fist, and the different claw bits right there. And I think you only get 1 set of lightning claws. So I'm not sure what their unit entry is yet in the Chaos Codex, because I haven't flipped through mine yet. I guess they really didn't update it, but depending on what you want to do, you're going to have to switch out the power fist fist part with those little claw parts right there. So it's kind of smart how they did that. I don't know if you would want to magnetize that. I suppose you could, because they slot in right there, but you would just have to make sure it's the specific one, since you only get 2 of those in the set. So let's slap one of these bad boys together, give you an idea how they look, and some potential conversions and magnetization options as well. So here we are, we've got our Terminator assembled, just the legs, the head, and the trophy rack right there. And now it's time to switch out the arms. So I didn't want to glue the arms down because I was like, well, you know what? We could probably magnetize those like I used to do back in the day. And it looks like there's some play there too. So we're gonna go grab our magnets and talk about that. So to make it simple, we're just going to use some 1/8 by 1/16 inch magnets with a strength of N52. Seems to be the standard on rare earth magnets these days. Got these from Baer, pretty cheap, I forget, but I bought like a whole bunch of different sizes. And then for the combi weapons, we're probably going to use this 1/16 by 1/32 to get in there and lock those down. So it's going to be pretty easy. You just want to grab your pin vise, and for the arms, they're already pretty much drilled out, but we just kind of have to make sure we're planing it. We're going in at the angle that is perpendicular to the bit, or the plane right there. So this is going to lock up. And I think I'm using a 7/64 inch drill bit, which is just a little bit shorter, which means that we're going to have to watch when we're gluing this. But other than that, should be just fine. So there's our hole. Well, let's just try to size this up real quick. Yeah, it fits in there pretty snug. So we're just gonna have to be careful that we're gonna put some glue in there and a little bit of kicker. We're gonna coat this in kicker. Usually what I do is just grab a little bit of a palette, grab some kicker here. And this is just gonna give it a little extra stick when it's in there. Oof, I'm low on kicker, this is crazy. So we're just gonna put, I might be out of kicker. What happened? Did it all evaporate? So just dunking it on there, since apparently I don't have that much. Okay, so now we're gonna slap some glue in here. And the trick, which I'll probably cut at because it's not gonna dry, is that you want to make sure that there's a little bit room for your glue to go in here. And we gotta get our polarities right too, so give me 1 second. Okay. So we're just going to slide it in and pushing down until we see the gap. And the gap will be flush against that armor plate right there. There we go. And we're nice and flush against the armor plate. Okay, so now we're just gonna let it dry for a few minutes, and while that's happening, I'm gonna drill this out. Now, I'm not gonna do this on camera, but there is gonna be a little bit of a cavern in here, so using the 17th inch drill bit is gonna give us a little bit of more tolerance to work with right here, so it, you know, the magnet will kind of stick in the side. Also, the glue will help as well, but theoretically, if you push through, it'll just fall in here and rattle around. Okay, so a few magnet swaps or magnet installs later, we've got a whole bunch of posable Terminators right there with our 1/8 inch magnets from Baer. They were great. There's actually not a lot of space in here. Once you put the head in there, there's no like big cavern or anything that I expected. I forgot that that actually takes up a lot of space. So those fit in quite snug, and we did the Havoc launcher here. Now I didn't install the shoulder pads, like I said. Not exactly sure what I want to do there. Maybe just use some of that blue tack that you saw earlier. I've got a small piece right here, and it's feasible that you could just, you know, put some blue tack on all of your little figures right here and just kind of spread it out and then slap a pad on there. But I hadn't really thought that one all the way through quite yet, and it's getting kind of late and I'm hungry, so I want to go eat. But I had a lot of fun playing around with this, so hopefully this will help you guys when you're getting ready to work on your Terminators here this week as well. So don't have those in there, but remember there's 11 pads, so you're gonna have an extra one if you want to do the big gun right here. Now, one other thing, let's see. So I've got that. There's that power fist, and that looks really cool as well. Oh, it's the combi. I was like, what the heck was I going to show you? Okay, the combi is really neat. So that goes in right there. And then remember, like I said, you've got a whole bunch of different ones, but not quite maybe the ones you want. So you can magnetize them. I used a little, what is this? That little 1/16 by 1/32 magnet, and just put it in there. And you see there's this little square socket right back here. That actually locks in to right above the Terminator thumb right there, so it won't torque or anything when you lock it. Well, of course I'm at a bad angle here, but once you put this on, it won't, there it goes, it won't torque, so it'll still look good, and boom boom boom. Obviously I need to work on my little gap right there. There's probably some glue or something, but it'll work just fine. Now here's the plasma, the plasma bit, which we never had before. If you have some of the old Chaos sprues, which I thought I had a few laying around right here, you're gonna want to grab the shoulder pad. Where is it? The shoulder pad. Let me find it. Buried underneath my pile here. The old Chaos Veteran Accessory sprue. Here they are. So these are what we used to use to make combi plasmas, and you get 2 on this sprue. So chances are, if you play Chaos and you played it for a while, you probably have some of these laying around, and you can actually cut off the handle and kind of install it right into there. Maybe magnets, maybe just glue it on. Let me show you what we used to do back in the day, and we did something very similar. For the Terminators, we would just glue it right on, kind of barrel out, and then just glue it right on there, because we had these longer bits right here. So this is an old Chaos Terminator, the first plastics. I didn't like the trophy racks. I just used a couple of random spikes, and I think it turned out pretty well. I've got 10 of these guys, and they are too all magnetized. Try to always future-proof my hobby as much as I can. Let's see if I got it right. Let's see. Did I do it? Oh, I did it. Still got it. Yeah. I remembered. So these guys will definitely mix and match and are interchangeable, but they're much more dynamic than their older 2005 models right here. So here they are compared up to each other, and it's no contest. These Terminators are at least 1 head taller than the old ones, which is kind of crazy once you start thinking about it. So coming in hot, new Chaos Terminators, new Chaos Havocs. Hopefully these magnetization ideas and conversion tips gave you a few that you can use there for working on your combi weapons coming up in this kit right here. So that's it for this one. I am out of here. There's some food with my name on it somewhere, I hope. So we got new Terminators, new Havocs, and some blasts from the 40K past as well. So that's it for this one, folks. Thank you very much for watching our unboxing and build / magnetization of the new Chaos Wave 2 kits in 2019. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can be the very first to like and comment on all our videos.